I really liked beer as a kid. I drank it as a baby. I drank it as a kid. We started drinking it, on purpose for its effects when we were about 10 and then just kept going. I had one friend who had a house filled with liquor cabinets. Like every end table was a liquor cabinet. It was fantastic. That same friend actually, her dad smoked pot. So we would take all the roaches out of his ashtrays in his car in his bedroom, and then we would roll our own. We're, 12, 13 years old. When you start young, you spiral young. So when I was 17, I had to go to a place. It was called Rush Manor. But first, I had to go to Brylin. Brylin was where you went for detox, and then they would take you to Rush Manor for your rehab or whatever. It all depended on what your insurance would cover. If you had kind of crappy insurance, well, whoa, 28 days, look how well you're doing. You can leave. You graduated. But if you had really good insurance, then suddenly it took 60 days. The one thing they taught us was to go to AA meetings and NA meetings. So here I was, an alcoholic and a drug addict at the age of 17. I wasn't even legal to drink yet, and I was already quitting drinking. Now, these meetings, I have very strong opinions about AA and NA, and I don't mean to say anything about anybody who goes there and gets help from those organizations. I did also get help from those organizations. It was, one way to live your life, I guess. But they do tell you things that I think are really wrong for them to say. They say things like, well, nobody gets here by accident. Okay, fair enough. I definitely had issues. But my issue was not that I was an alcoholic. My issues were way other things that I dealt with alcohol and drugs. That never sat well with me. They say if you weren't an alcoholic, you wouldn't be here. Okay. If it was so great out there, they would just say out there. If you would go out, you went out drinking. But here you were in the program. If being out there was so great, why doesn't anyone ever come back and tell us? Probably because once you realize what a freaking cult it is, you don't want to go back. I was told at a very impressionable young age that if I drank, I was going to die. If you drink, you're going to die. If you drink, you're going to die. If you leave these rooms, if you don't go to a meeting every single day, if you don't read your big book, you are going to die. You'll end up in jail or dead in the gutter. So I believed that. So when I started getting really, really, really bad migraines to the point where I had to go to the ER, and they were giving me Fiorinol with codeine to treat my migraines. Well, wasn't that delicious and permissible? But of course, it was too delicious. I started maybe not needing it so much, maybe more wanting it. That's relapsing. You relapsed. So now you're gonna drink and you're gonna die. Well, if I'm going to die, I better get my affairs in order. It got really dark. My son went to go live with his father. I thought, I'm going to die. I better make sure he's taken care of. So I lived like somebody who was about to die, as you can imagine what that might be like. And I didn't die. Why wasn't I dying? They told me I was going to die. Wait, do you mean there's a way to do it where you don't die and you don't destroy lives? It turns out I found a way, and it works for me. So, I don't know if it would work for anybody else. But what worked for me was when I got closer to God. I learned more about my faith, the Catholic faith, and I learned that getting drunk on purpose was a mortal sin for me. That was all I needed to hear. There was no high, there was no drug or drink on earth worth hell, eternal hell. No, I'm sorry. No, I don't care. And I've tried them all. So I know for a fact, well, I maybe haven't tried them all. I do remember that when I was in Brylin, that's where the Canadians would come. The Canadians couldn't go to Rush Manor, but they would just do their detox and rehab in Brylin. And they were all talking about, this was 1988, and they were all talking about, oh, have you tried this MDMA? I've never heard of MDMA before. It turns out it's ecstasy, but probably a lot of people already know that. I've never taken that. I don't even know how you do. And I have never smoked crack. So I don't know what those are like. I do know that once I made my life about God and honoring God and realizing everything that God did for me, it made it way easier to avoid the stuff that offended him. I highly recommend it.